Okay, it's 1 o'clock. Can everybody hear me out there? No. Can you hear me? No. If you can't hear me, get closer. I'd like to call our annual meeting for 2024 to order. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
No, Mr. President, we don't. By show of hands, we have to see if we continue as an informational meeting.
Okay, we don't have a quorum. And by the way, I moved here in mid-2014, and at our fall meeting, we didn't have a quorum, and we've never had a quorum since. So that's not good or bad. That's why we stream these as well, so we can give you the information. But that's what it is. It's a dissemination of information to you. So let's call the informational meeting to order.
Got to raise the hands.
We have to vote on it?
Yeah, vote on continue as a meeting, raise hands.
Okay. Would everybody like to continue as an informational meeting? Yes. Anybody want to stop and wait until we have a quorum? Okay, now we can continue. First, our agenda. Is that up there? Okay, shows we're going to have introductions, and you can see down through there explanation of the format, approval of minutes, strategic pillar updates, then the treasurer's report, management report, election results, questions and answers for the questions that have been pre-submitted, and finally adjournment. So let's start with introductions. We've got Ed DiNardo, who's the vice president, Jim Minch, the secretary or the treasurer, Harvey Berliner, the secretary, and then we have Ed Sulo, Barbara Heck, and Gwen James as board members. We have some additional people here. Lanier Coulter is the Association Legal Counsel. Jennifer Johnson is our CMA, or our community manager. Carly Boyd, Assistant Community Manager. Kathy Van Laar, Office Manager. Christy Crawford, our Lifestyle Director. Keith Black, our Maintenance Supervisor. Keith managed to squeak in this time. And Paige Perkins is our Division Manager for CMA. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. I'd like to turn it over to Ed to introduce the committees.
Thank you. I'm going to stand because it's a little easier for me. So before we introduce the committees, I just want to point out that committees accomplish a lot of things here, but they only do that because of all you volunteers. So the volunteers make the committees. If it wasn't for the volunteers, we'd be hiring people to do that, and you don't want to do that. So we really do appreciate how dedicated the committee members are and all that they do throughout the year. So when we call your committee, if you're present, please stand. Or if you're watching on the stream and you want to stand and wave, that's fine too, but we won't get to acknowledge you. First, we have the Architectural Review Committee. So I know there's a few of you here, so please stand. Carol, Linda, Judy. Oh, look at that. Good turnout from the Architectural Review Committee. Thank you. So I can speak from firsthand experience that this is a busy committee. They meet twice a month, and they review a lot of requests for roofs, landscaping, trees, all kinds of things. As you can see, 737 applications. So you keep them very busy, and they are always there to help you and answer any questions that you have about your projects that you want to do. Oh, painting, that's another big one. We have Judy here. Judy will tell you everything you need to know about painting. So don't hesitate to reach out to them because they're happy to help in that regard. Next slide, please. I don't have that little, thank you. Can we then have the Clubs and Activities Committee members that are here stand? We have a few. You and Barbara, thank you. This is another very busy club, as you can see. I'm not going to read everything on there, obviously, but they've been very busy in the last year with a lot of accomplishments and keeping things nice, the poker tables being recovered, the pickleball court online reservations. We have a lot of you out there playing pickleball that I'm sure appreciate that. The neighborhood garage sales, the handicap parking policy. They are very active, very involved, and are a great asset to the community. The Community Communications Committee. Bob Morris and company, if you're here, please stand up. Thank you. There's another busy community because you see all their emails that come out and all they've done on the website, right? They've done a lot of website maintenance, enhancements, so that you can find information about what's going on outside the gates, inside the gates, the community bulletin. They changed the photo, so every once in a while you might get your picture up there if you're lucky, right? And online voting they assisted in. Orientation meetings are a big thing. There's a lot. We have numerous new members joining us, new residents, and we have a little special presentation that's done for them, and they help get that all organized, developed a revised PowerPoint to make them feel welcome to the community. And Finance Committee, one of our favorites, Steve and company. We've got a few of them here also. Obviously, that's a key group. They work on the budget each year, review the financials, make sure that we're in good shape, make sure the reserves are good, that we have the money to pay our bills every month. So they are on top of all of that and do an excellent job in keeping our finances sound. Property and Ground Committee, Ken Smith and company. Okay, that's another very busy group because you see them out walking and answering all the concerns, right? 653 resident concerns, working on the dam, working on sinkhole repairs, sidewalk repairs, replacing the AC unit on the fitness center, trail enhancements. There's on and on. So that group is always busy. And so they are also there to assist you, though. If you have any concerns, right, you submit a form and they will come out, meet with you, and try to get your concern resolved to the best of their ability. So, and we especially appreciate that they poured the pad at the bocce club courts. So that was one of the best things they've done in the last year. Thank you. A little biased. Villager newsletter. Do we have any of the Villager folks here? Thank you. We all love the Villager. We still are old-fashioned, so we like to see things in print, right? So we all are happy when that comes out every month. And they've done excellent, as you can see, they have a big staff, and they've done excellent work in updating the outsourcing, which was a big improvement, I believe, my personal opinion, to the way that operated, because they can be that much more efficient as an organization and just concentrate on the content and worry less about the nuts and bolts of getting that newsletter out. They weren't supposed to send April's issue out, though, April 1st. So they usually are late, and this time they had to over-exceed. So they surprised me, because you have to submit articles ahead of time. But it is what it is, so we just deal with it. Okay, so that's all the committees. But let me just reemphasize, we're always looking for volunteers, right? People are on the committees, but after a couple years, they'd like a little break. They'd like to go out and play cards and play golf and do things. So if you don't mind, consider stepping in and taking one of those open spots when you see them announced on the website, because your support is needed. We're now going to have a presentation on where we stand on, right? Am I in the right place, Jennifer? Okay, where we stand on the Mulberry River, and we're going to have Bill Walker update us on the progress there.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
I get in trouble every time I do this because I use the microphone for a pointer. Tell me when I'm far enough back, Susan. Okay. All right. You've all seen this picture before, so it's nothing new. That just shows where the Mulberry River runs through the development. We've divided this project into 3 sections, Section A, Section B, and Section C. A is about 500 feet upstream of the vehicle bridge. B is between the 2 bridges, vehicle and pedestrian, and Section C is on downstream past the end of the village green. You all can read who's on the project team there. And at the bottom, you'll see we have the engineering firm that's doing all the technical work. Fraley Associates is a subcontractor to them that does the landscape architecture. And Cadis is the company that's going to do the construction management. Okay, the first part of this, we did an as-is baseline, and the pictures you see up there are basically what the river looked like when they took the pictures. As we all know, with all the rains we've had and everything, there's looks different now, but that's when they used as their as-is baseline condition. All right, this is our schedule. Phase 1 was a baseline analysis and developing what we were going to do. That was completed in the 3rd quarter of last year. In the 4th quarter, we began the detailed design, hydraulic analysis, and permitting. That's ongoing. We've had a design review meeting already on what the engineer is proposing, along with their hydraulic analysis, and the permitting is ongoing. We have to get permits from the Corps of Engineers, the state, the county, anybody else that really feels like they want to input it. But anyhow, and then in the 4th quarter, that should be complete in June. Then we're going to go out for bids and then begin the construction. This is just telling you what I just told you, but this is project, their phase 2, which is the final design and the landscaping. I want to make one thing very clear here. Landscaping is not what we usually talk about of pretty bushes and all that stuff. This is what's known as riparian landscaping, and it has to be planted in accordance with the ongoing principles of stabilizing the banks of the river. So functionality is more important than beauty along the banks of the river. Upcoming milestones. In June, like I'd said before, we hope to have the state and federal permitting approvals, and then in phase 3 we'll put out the request for proposals. We're anticipating requesting 5 bids on the job. In August, we're looking for the responses and the evaluation, the award, looking to start in September, October, and finish in roughly January. They're being optimistic of December, but I think January will be closer. And I'll put this out to you right now. If you live near the river, construction activities usually start at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you like to sleep in, you're gonna hear noise. I'm just warning you beforehand. But at least it's in the winter when you'll have your windows closed. And that's about does it.
Thanks, Bill. And we're going to get an update on enhanced and modernized security from Christy.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Christy Crawford, your lifestyle director. I also, thank you, my fans. I'm also one of the trainers for Techie Tuesday classes, and I will be part of the training for the enhanced modernized security. Our rollout date plan is about 60 to 90 days out, and then we will also send out class dates for that. But once the system goes live, you'll receive a login email and a password, a temporary password. And then you'll log in and you'll make your own password. Okay, and at that time, when you sign up for a class, we'll go over a couple different topics. We'll go over understanding the dashboard, which is just the interface on the front, how to add visitors to your list, how to add your pet's information, sending a visitor pass, setting permissions and parameters, and also how to add Proptia for your mobile devices. So that is really cool. And I will tell you that this is a very minimal impact. Like, I've been through this training. The software is very user-friendly. It's not much different than what you're doing today. So please don't panic. It's going to be great. And I will be here to help you with anything. Yes, and you will still be coming in and out with the RFID. This really actually helps more on your visitors than anything else to manage your incoming visitors. So I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Jim?
Is this on? Yep. Okay, next slide. This is the financials for the ending of the year 2023. We budgeted revenue of $34.49. We got revenue of $35.52. That's $3,552,000. The reason revenue is high, a couple things. Mostly it's prepaid dues. We have no way to budget how many. A lot of people, we carry a lot of prepaid dues, and that goes right into the revenue line. Some people pay a year in advance all their dues. So we really can't budget that, but still, we don't ever want it to be smaller than the budget. It's okay if it's bigger than the budget. Expenses were a little high, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And I talked about that back at our last town hall meeting, and we talked about the tree problem, the $150,000 tree problem. We budget every year. We try to make revenue match expenses, so we neither have a deficit or a surplus. So our budget was the end of the year was zero. We ended the year with a surplus of 26.5. Now, those of you who have a company you like to follow and read the annual report, you know you have to read the notes to really understand what's going on in the financial statements. So I've got a little bit of notes to our financial statement this time. Our audit will show an income or a surplus of 26.5. Next slide. We had unbudgeted expenses last year, which means expenses over and above what we planned. That storm cost us about $150,000 in cash. We anticipated that by using those numbers, by the way, the Finance Committee spends, I've told you before, we're a cash-driven organization. And the Finance Committee spends a lot of time managing cash, predicting cash. They have a model for cash every month they go over. So cash is king, and the people on your Finance Committee, that's one of their main, not only they review the financial statements, they review where we stand cash-wise. Back in the fall, we said, you know what, we're going to probably end the year with between $275,000 and $300,000 in cash. Our goal has always been to have at least 1 month's expenses in the bank when we start the month, which now is approaching $400,000. So we said, that's really not where we want to be. Are there things we can do in this last fourth quarter to help our cash position going into 2024 and have no negative impacts anywhere else? What we decided to do is for the months of October through December was suspend the transfers we made to modernization and to reserve. That amounted to $78,000. So instead of that being a $78,000 expense, which didn't go into our bank account, it now turned into revenue, which went into our bank account, which padded our cash account by $78,000. I'm going to tell you about reserve at the end, so you don't worry about that. Don't get ahead of me. Next slide. The $78,000 we saved by not funding for 3 months, by the way, reserve is being funded as of January 1st, just like always, $39,000 a month or something like that. Bill, what is it? $39,000 a month, something like that. $37,000 a month. I was in there somewhere. Had we continued to make reserve contributions, October through November, our year-end result would have been a $51,000 deficit instead of the $26,000 surplus. Ending the year, if we had ended the year with a $51,000 deficit, that still would have been within 1.5% of our budget. So that's not what you call poor performance when you had a surprise $150,000 you had to fork up. The Finance Committee still did a very good job, and Jennifer, managing expenses, we did a good job protecting your money and protecting your assets. And I think what that shows is our ability to absorb that big expense, that $150,000 unplanned, and still read our cash goals in our checking account, shows how well your finances are being managed and what sound financial position you're in. Now, I saw some head shake when I said the reserve, and every time I've talked to you, by the way, this will be my 8th and last time. I've always taken the time to talk about reserve because that's an important thing and it's a scary thing. You see us doing all these projects. We had a lot of the retention pond over here. We call it Lake Isabel. Everybody, well, how much did you spend on that? How did you pay for that? We paid for it because it was planned for, and we have a well-funded reserve. So go to my reserve side, please. The Finance Committee about 4 years ago, Tom Bergman created a model that allows us to project our expenses on a yearly basis, and we do it. This is 3 years. At the beginning of every year, we do a 5-year projection. But like any 5-year projection, the 24 months is really what's good numbers. The other is what you think might happen. In 2024, we're going to start between Morgan Stanley, which is our brokerage account, and our bank account. We'll start the year at about $1.4 million. We're going to add $329,000. That comes out of your dues every month. And we're going to earn about $91,000 in interest in coupons on bonds. The projected expenses, we've spent about $500,000. And usually the 1-year expense number is pretty good. We're going to also, we talked about this in the fall meeting, in the pillar meeting, we're going to get the fourth quarter, Bill was talking about this construction project. We're funding the Mulberry River project right now in the other pillars. But if this construction project starts in the fall of this year and it runs what we think it's going to run, we're going to have to basically loan some money from reserve to projects of about $256,000. That'll leave $1 million, $1.1 million in reserves. We go to 2025. You notice that 1095 carries up the beginning balance in 1095 in 25. Look what happened to reserve contributions, 329 to 384. By design, for now, for the next 6 years, we're going to increase the reserve part of your dues every year to cover. Our last reserve study said you need more money, guys. They wanted us in the first year to increase at $40 a person a month. And then we said, no, that dog don't hunt. We can't do $40 a person a month. We came up with, spent a lot of time coming up with a plan to make it a reasonable step up to where we can put enough money in reserves but not break the bank at home. Projected expenses, 327. The expenses, we have a reserve study. It's a 20-year reserve study. It's out online. It does a really good job of predicting what we need to spend over a total of 20 years. It can't really tell us year by year they say you have this many miles of roads, and they're this old. They use an actuarial table that says a road should last this long and be replaced. Well, all roads are not. This road here is not the same as Friendship Highway. So at the beginning of every year, the Finance Committee and Property and Grounds and Jennifer sit down and they say, okay, here's what the reserve study says. They want us to do this much on roads. They want to put in a new pool. Well, we don't need a new pool. We don't need that much on roads. But Property and Grounds and Finance and Jennifer say, we do need to spend that amount of money there. So the amount of money we spend each year is pretty accurate. To cut to the chase here, if we look through the ending balances, my goal is to let you know your reserve is still quite solid and it's growing and covers our expenses. In 2026, we'll end up with $1.22 million, a couple $100,000 more than what you got right now. But I want you to look at the expense number for 2026. That's not a real number. We pulled that right off of the reserve study, and we don't know what we're going to spend in 2026. My guess is, seems to be every year we spend, Bill, help me if I'm right, $350,000 to $500,000 is the ballpark we seem to be spending, because we just don't need to do at the given time the same things that the reserve study said. It tells us what we have to accumulate over 20 years. Like when you know you need a refrigerator, but you can't tell me what year you got to buy the refrigerator. You know it's in the next 2 or 3 years, and you kind of have that in your savings account, but you don't know what year your air conditioner is going to go out. You kind of know when it is, but you can't predict 1 year. That's kind of where we are. They say you're going to have to replace the air conditioner, and they try to tell us what year, but they don't know. If it's working, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to replace it. I'm going to replace it when it goes bad. So to set you, by taking that $78,000 to put in our cash account, which is very important to us to have that cash available to pay bills, we still have a nice increase in our reserve balance, and we still have a good funding balance. So your reserves are still very solid. Barring some unforeseen catastrophe, we won't have to come and ask for money to put into reserves. That's it. Sorry I talked so long.
Hi, everyone. How are we doing today? Good. For those of you that don't know me, I am Jennifer Johnson. I'm the community manager. And yes, my name did change, but I am the same person. So for those of you that I haven't seen and interacted with, I did get married in December. And I have with me here today Carly Boyd. She's our new assistant manager, and I would love for everyone to welcome her to Deaton Creek. Carly started about 2 months ago, and she's just hit the ground running and is doing a wonderful job. Just so happy that you're here. Last week she went and took her CAM license class, and tomorrow she's going to take the test. So we're taking it easy on her today. But we're really happy that you're here, and if you need help with anything on your account, she's more than willing to help, and she's been a great liaison with the ARC, and I think the ARC is very happy with her as well. Yeah. Woo, woo! And then we did introduce the staff, but I just wanted to take the time again so everyone knows how much I appreciate them. Kathy Van Laar is who everyone should know. Kathy is our encyclopedia Deaton Creek. The Deaton Creek. Yeah, Kathy can answer most any questions that we would have at the office, including, when somebody moved in, who's, when they might move back. She might probably know that too. But we're just so happy that you're here. Kathy gave us a little scare at the end of the year, but she's just recovered wonderfully and is strong as ever. So everybody, just let Kathy know how much we appreciate her. And then, of course, our class clown, Christy has been with us, we're going on 2 years now, is it? Year and a half? It seems like you've been here the whole time I've been here, so. But she's just brought our lifestyle program up to the next level. And I think that I speak for everyone when we say how much we love and appreciate you, even though I might joke with you sometimes. You know that's only because I love you. So thank you for everything you do, Christy. Everyone give Christy a hand. And then since Keith stuck around, I told you could leave, but you're still here. That's great. Keith Black is our our maintenance supervisor extraordinaire, and we love you, and we're happy that you're here. Keith is Johnny on the spot if we need something done. I mean, I can't barely get the work order in, and it's done sometimes. So thank you for everything you do. And if you see Keith out in the gator, give him a wave. But it takes a lot to run the community, and we as your management team are happy to be here serving you. But we also have our full-time staff, the janitorial staff, our girls with White Rose Cleaning. They love work hard for you here. And then we have Bright Views on staff every day, and our security company. So it does take a lot to keep you up and running, and that's why you need so many great committees and your finance committee to oversee to make sure your money is getting spent right. So with that,
I just want to say thank you, Jennifer, from our team, because our team wouldn't be so successful without a strong leader. So we love you.
Well, that was very nice. Thank you. So anyway, moving into that is communicating and tips for successful communicating with the office. We're always glad to see you when you come in, but sometimes when we may not be available for a walk-in for me to help you, and sometimes that can be frustrating for both you and me. At times I've been running from a meeting up to my office and someone's waiting for me and I have to make you wait longer, and I don't like doing that. So just as a rule, if you have something important that you want to discuss with me, maybe just give a call or shoot me an email to make sure that I'm available. That will save us both frustration. Right, Joan? And I forgot, how could I forget, one of the most important groups of people is our front desk staff. So let me retract. And let's not forget, as front desk staff here, stand up. Yeah. There we go. Please accept my apology, because I love the front desk too. Yeah, the front desk is always there to greet you with a smile, hopefully. And but as I was saying, it can be frustrating for them too if you're upset because you can't see me, but we didn't have an appointment. So anyway. Just check ahead sometimes. And if I'm not available, then, just be understanding that we have a lot of different responsibilities during the day in order to run this wonderful community. So we set up the new resident concern form with Property and Grounds, and we're using our Works Hub, which for those of you who have been here for a few years know that we've been using Works Hub for our work order program. So this has helped us to streamline the process with your resident concerns that go into Property and Grounds. And part of the goal in that is for us, as the management team, to be able to better track those, and also to hopefully get you quicker response time. Now, we're only 30 days into using the new system, but hopefully you'll see over the next year that we have an improvement in how we are serving you. So that was the goal, is to bring better, quicker response times and resolution to your concerns. So hope if you've used that, has anyone done one in here yet on the new form? Easy? Yeah. Okay, so that was the goal. And so before we had a different system where all those concerns were stored. And then, so I'd have to go in there and make a note. And a lot of times I ended up making a work order in WorksHub. And then I have to go back into the other system. So it just cut out a lot of unnecessary steps. But the system that we had in place worked great. It's just that, like everything else, we evolved and we're able to make improvements. And Keith is in there every day. That's why I said I can't get a work order in sometimes, and he's already got it done. So, all right. Next is wanted to give you a quick update on the special assessment, and for that I need my glasses. So at the end of February, that was our last financial report that was published. We have collected $304,849, and so the bulk of the people were paying that monthly, but we did have about 170 people pay that in full. So that helped us to get our account a big cushion to start, so that we could start paying for projects. We've already had some expenses out of there for the Mulberry River, for the engineer. And I just wanted, when you review the financial report, which I posted this February report today, it was approved this morning at the finance meeting, and I did post it in the meeting. So when I said this today, it would be there. But when you look at the income statement, now we have there's a whole nother income sheet that's going to show you the special assessment. It shows the income and the expenses. So everything that comes in from the dues each month is earmarked just for the special assessment projects. And that's how over time and at the end we'll be able to, if we have anything left over, as we've told you at the beginning, it would go back into the reserves account. Yeah. Separate bank account. Thank you, Jim. If you look on the balance sheet that's also posted, you'll see it's called special assessment, so that you can see those funds are clearly earmarked and separated. We set up expense accounts for each of those as well, so that you'll be able to see, just like when you look at our normal income statement and it separates insurance and electricity into different lines. We do the same thing with the Mulberry River project. The Mulberry River project, the enhanced security, and the landscaping for the future are the big line items that we have under the special assessment. So glad to report that setup and everything went smoothly and as planned. So everyone will be able to track that. And then this year, as you know, we did online voting. Online voting went very smoothly. And I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and give you your much anticipated election results. I know everyone must be in big suspense. So we had 4 positions and 4 candidates. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why do I need to vote? Well, we still need your participation. Unlike this meeting where we can still proceed without quorum, we have to get quorum for the election. So quorum is 286, and we did meet quorum with 516 votes. And I'd like to introduce your new board. Ken Smith, please stand up. We got Mr. Bill Perkins. Woo woo. You have a big fan base, Bill. Yeah, I didn't know that. We have, Ed DiNardo. He's up here already. We know Ed. And then Mr. Dave Bassarab. Yeah. So congratulations. And thank you guys for everyone who participated in the election. I hope you found that the online voting process was smooth and easy and quick. So there's no reason not to do it. Just takes you probably not even a minute. Well, you have to and it saved us money. because we didn't have to do postage, we didn't have to print all that stuff. So yeah, so there you go. It's a win-win-win. Now we did have some write-ins as well. So there's the write-ins, and most people only got 1 vote, but Mike DeFanis with 3. I mean, where's Mike? When are we going to see him up on the ballot, I wonder? But is he here? No, I don't see him. Anyway, but anyway, just so you know, we do always look at your write-ins, as always. We did with the paper ballots as well. But I guess I'm going to turn it over to Ed in a second for the question and answers, but I did want to thank everyone who's going off of the board. Jim and Ed and Harvey. You guys have been wonderful to work with as your community manager. As far as working with the board members go, you've been wonderful to work with, and I think everyone appreciates all that you've given to the community. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. DiNardo, who's going to handle the questions and answers.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so as you know, we asked folks to submit questions prior to the meeting, and we then have the formulated answers here for you. So nothing on the spot, but we got some good questions that we're happy to answer for you. So first, from Barbara Allen, we had some questions regarding landscaping, about the breakdown of the major categories of concerns that come into P&G. So as you can see, mostly, right, trees, shrubs, pruning, weeds, leaves, drainage, things that you would expect to see. I think the thing I'd like to emphasize here, though, and I won't read through all, unless anybody needs me to read through all this, I'm not going to, but the thing I'd like to emphasize is when you think about the size of our community with over 1,100 homes, and that's, you know, I think that's pretty good. That shows that Brightview on top of things, and we find that some of these things are even addressed before the P&G committee members show up. So overall, I think they're doing an excellent job and staying on top of those issues that need to be addressed. The next question, well, that's what I just talked about there, the investigation. And then the next question, will these concerns be addressed in the bidding documents? So I just want to clarify on that. At this point, there is no intent to seek other landscape vendors other than Brightview, because we've done that work in the past and determined that there is no other firm of their caliber in this area that could handle Deaton Creek. You would end up with a lot of little companies potentially, which would be very disjointed and not, in our view, for the best of the community. So we will obviously use the information that we gather about issues of weeds and leaves and things that cause our residents concerns, and look to make sure that the contract addresses those things and that we're getting the proper services for the dollars spent. But it will be, we will be looking to renegotiate the contract with Brightview, with performance as obviously a concern, but we have to balance that performance against the cost. Because I know you folks don't like to see your dues increase too much either. So you want your yard to look pretty, but at a reasonable price. So we have to balance those two things, and that's what we'll look to do in the new contract with Brightview. Then Barbara asked about information is knowledge, alerting residents about what's going to occur in the next week, whether they're going to be mowing your lawn on Tuesday or Wednesday, or maybe putting some weed treatment down in your area. And we did do that in the past. And we've talked, and Jennifer's agreed that we'll look to reinstate that. So we'll try to make sure that every Monday you're aware of what's going to happen in your neighborhood in terms of upcoming weed treatments, leaf blowing, whatever the task du jour is for that particular week. But we also wanted to point out that Ken made clear is right. There's a landscaping calendar out there on the website. So you can get a general idea of when things are going to occur. But that obviously is subject to weather, truck breakdowns, personnel, those kind of things. But it's a general idea of when things should occur based on that landscaping calendar that is posted on the website. Clark had some questions, and as you might imagine, Clark's questions are focused on the new system because he was, very involved in getting the new gate system approved and up and running soon, right? And the first question, though, is off that mark, but similar, about the cafe. He wanted to know if we could reopen the cafe. And there's issues about doing that, right, in terms of who's going to run it. There's issues about how you manage it. There's issues on health codes. There's many things that have to be looked at. So I don't want to say no, right? Not that we won't do it. We'll look into it, but it's not an easy thing to do, right? When we were a little small community, I don't think anybody was paying attention to us. And it was, for those who've been here a while, we used to have that facility on the weekends. Whether we can do that again or not is subject to a lot of review, but we will look at that with the when the new board comes in place. He then asked about there's a lot of pros and cons of that system, right? Most of you are just going to be focused on the gate for now and being able to give your visitors passes and be able to give your contractors passes. But that system can do more than that. And he wants to know, right, I think I got one ahead, sorry. He wanted to know whether we would allow cell phones as credentials to open gates and doors to the clubhouse. We've never allowed folks to come into the clubhouse, right, when there aren't people here. So there's issues around that too, right? Safety, can't be alone. So there's a lot of things that would need to be looked at. But again, the system has a lot of capabilities. How many of those capabilities we want to take advantage of is something that we have to research. But we will do that research and see what, if any, we can utilize in that system. And then the final question was about, there was issues about database shortcomings. To be honest, I didn't get a chance to talk with Clark yet, so I don't understand the full scope of what that means, right, in terms of how bad or how off the databases would be. So we will look at that also when the new board comes in place and see what is off in the databases and what needs to be corrected and how big of an impact that is. So we need to better understand that as a board before we can give you an answer. So all those things that I just went through that Clark asked about, we'll come back to you after we've had a chance to talk about that in the new board and come back to you with what our plans are and what we can do and what we can't do. Okay, so the next question from David Carr asked about the ability for the board to assess residents for yearly dues payable in advance. I believe what David was referring to was obviously the special assessment. So we just want to make clear, your standard assessment is just a yearly assessment, right? Once the finance committee and Jennifer get together and develop the budget gets approved by the board, and then we set the monthly assessment for the new year after that process completes. And that's just for 1 year. The special assessment is a 3-year assessment, as you know, but that authority comes under Section 9.2 of our covenants and restrictions, which talks to special assessments, and it specifically says they may be payable in installments extending beyond the fiscal year in which the special assessment is approved. So the board did have the ability to carry those fees over the 3-year period that we did. And we really did that for the benefit of the community, right? You didn't want to, well, some people wanted to pay all the money up front, but most of you didn't want to pay all the money up front. So we wanted to spread it for you as gently as we could so it would make it easier on your pocketbook. And then David asked about how much we spent on the retention pond. I think Jim addressed that was well covered and anticipated within our reserves, but the total cost was $224,900. I think they did an excellent job. When I drive by and look over there, it looks very nice and tidy now and much better than it used to look. And I'm sure that the residents that look down upon that appreciate all the hard work they did on that fix there. So that came out very well. And then he asked about the green space behind the clubhouse and the use of that green space. So I think many of you who have been around a while know that we put in that stage, but we had some issues with the county getting final approval as a building permit. Harvey spent a lot of time working that and was able finally to get that permit approved, but based on the timing of that approval, based upon the fact that we couldn't finish the stage, so there was no railings, there's no covering, and so it obviously didn't lend itself to weather events. We weren't able to utilize that space as well as we would like to, but Christy tells me there's plans for this summer to start making use of that space, and we will be good on that because, as Bill mentioned, they're not going to start construction until the fall, and so there won't be any disruptions, or shouldn't be any disruptions to the green space during the summer months, so we should be able to utilize that. He also asked about utilizing the croquet. He might not be knowledgeable about the croquet course, but as those of you who read the Daily know, croquet starting, I think, April 1st. So there is a croquet course already set up in front of Tennis Court 7, and that's going to be kicking off soon. So if you're interested in croquet, please sign up. Tony Hurst asked a question, and there's another one about this, so we'll cover this. About the bridge, right? We're always saying, slow down at the bridge, and you see the little sign blink at you. Some of you slow down. Many of you do not slow down at the bridge. I'm not saying the folks in the room, but we know that there's many folks that do not slow down. We also have that issue with our contractors that come through, visitors that don't slow down. We did a survey back, for those of you who are newer here, might not be aware, we did a survey back a while ago asking about speed humps and bumps in the community. We got a pretty good response that were favorable, but it was less than 50%. I think it was 48% or something that was favorable to some type of speed hump bump. But I think the way the question was worded, it almost appeared like we were going to do those maybe throughout the community, and people didn't want that. I think the focus is really on the bridge. And so I'm going to bring forward, and I think the board will support, we'll look at that again as an issue, try to understand, is there a excessive speed over the bridge? Should we look at doing something to enforce that slowdown? And so that needs to be re-examined in my mind, and hopefully it will be something that we can come to consensus on looking at and making a determination and coming back to you with what the next steps, if any, should be. Rick Saylor asked about the amount of dues and arrears, and I wanted to just point out we have very great homeowners. We don't have any greater than zero. We have $0 in arrears greater than 90 days. Let me put it that way. So thank you. You folks are very on the spot. Get your bills paid. As Jennifer will keep telling you, ACH, ACH, ACH. It's automatic. Takes it out of your bank account, and you don't have to worry about it. What's that?
You don't have to worry about the unreliable mail.
Right, the unreliable mail. You've probably seen things about the mail. I know all the time we're having issues there, so it's much more convenient. And then this goes back into the bridge question about the excess speed. And so, just to be clear, right, we did a lot of work on the bridge in the last couple years. You've noticed that, right? And I see my man Barry here who led that process and did a good job making sure that all got completed. And so it got all painted up, it got nice capstones, it got, structurally underneath, they made sure that bridge is very sound. And it is sound, but it's still a wood deck. It's still a little narrower than the road. So if you come in there fast, you're doing a transition from a paved roadway to wood. The tires hitting that area can loosen where the joint is, right? Can loosen that roadway. They can damage the wooden planks. Ask Keith, how many times do you replace plank? Keith, he probably, replaces 5 or 6 every few months. So there's that ongoing maintenance, and going fast over that bridge can't do it good, right? And if you ever were to lose control and hit those side railings, that would be a very expensive and dangerous proposition. And there's people that walk across that bridge. So you're going to get home, 30 seconds faster? You're not going to get home much faster by not going 15 miles an hour. So we don't think it's an imposition to ask you to slow down on the bridge. We think it's for everybody's safety and in the best interest of the community. Because we've all talked about to replace that bridge is a big expense. And none of you want us to do that. And we don't want to do that because obviously that would be something that would tap everybody's pocketbooks. So we're going to look at what we can do to make sure people observe that 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I think I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes this informational section. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second? All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. We'll be here for a while, and I just want to make a couple of comments. As you're aware, I'm going off the board, but two other fellas are, Jim Minch and Harvey Berliner. Jim is going to spend a lot of time walking his dog, and Harvey's going to try and get well. So thanks all for putting up with us. We've enjoyed it.
Don't leave. We want to thank them, as we said in the Villager. They've done an excellent job and spent 23 years supporting you folks. So we have a special treat as a thank you to our retiring board members. So come have a piece of cake on your board. There's plenty of cake. Yeah, don't leave. Come get some cake. Even if you want to take it home, come get some cake. Please.
Wonderful run meeting.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love the hump idea.
Yeah, we're going to look into that. I'm in favor of it personally. Yeah, because we can't get some people to slow down.
And the hump doesn't bother you. No, bump.
Yeah, right. We don't want that,
It's a
John.
beautiful idea. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.